search.
People always talk about my come up, cause I've been going all every summer. Pussy wanna talk about numbers, but your manager buying swipe show, so by me ain't nobody out now that can touch us.
What is going on YouTube is JT, and I am doing a deck profile on the Floowandereeze deck that I took to a remote duel extravaganza last weekend and won a regional flight with, earning me an invite to the 2024 NAWCQs, which is North American World Championship Qualifiers for short. I took a break from Yu-Gi-Oh! Up until like May 2023, a few months ago, and I didn't really feel like investing any money into any other deck. I wanted to try to cope with Floowandereeze, and I wanted to try to get my invite to next year's NAWCQs with it, and it actually worked out. I did get first place, so I played 4 rounds, well technically 3, because the first round was a bye.
What did he say?
And then I defeated Dragon Link 2-1, defeated Melfi Sprite 2-0, and then defeated Earth Machines 2-1 in the finals. The reason why I really love this deck is because it is normal summon based. It has some good disruption on the opponent's turn in the form of like Apex Avian, Raise of the Mega Monarch, and their main trap card, Dreaming Town. And it's just overall a fun deck for me to play. The thing that's not fun though is getting like hand trapped by like Droll Lockbird, which can pretty much end your turn unless you have a very specific hand. But I overall enjoy the deck, and we're gonna go over the list. We'll go over the small birds first. We play 3 copies of Rabina, 3 copies of Eagle, and 1 copy each of Street and Toucan. These birds each have 2 similar effects and 1 unique effect. Their similar effects is that when they are removed from the field while face up, they get banished face up instead. When a winged beast monster is normal summoned to the field while they are banished, you can add them back to your hand. They have a unique effect. Each step follows with the ability to gain an extra normal summon of a winged beast monster after that effect resolves. Rabina's unique effect is it can add a level 4 or lower winged beast monster from the deck to the hand. Eagle's effect is he can add a level 7 or higher winged beast monster from the deck to the hand. Toucan's effect is when normal summoned, it can add back a banished Floowandereeze card to your hand, and Stree's effect is that when it's normal summoned, it can banish 1 card in either player's graveyard. I play 3 Rabina because starter, it's your best and most preferred normal summon. Eagle because searching out your big birds is really important, and 1 copy each of Toucan and Stree because turn 1 they really don't do anything for you, which is why I play 1 copy each. You don't really want to see them in your opening hand all that much. Next up, I play 2 Floowandereeze and Empen. Empen has 3 unique effects, for those of you that don't know about Floowandereeze. 1 effect is when tribute summoned, you can add a Floowandereeze spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. On resolution, you also get to conduct an extra normal summon. Now, the interesting thing about this is, unlike the miniature birds, you don't have to normal summon a winged beast monster. You can normal summon any other monster in your hand. Like, it could be a Fossil Giant, Dogmatica, Ecclesia, anything. Next effect of it is, when it's battling an opponent's monster, you can banish a card from the hand to cut the opponent's monster's attack in half. It's pretty useful, but it's not really that great against Towers monsters because obviously they cannot be affected by opposing card effects. You know, like Arrival the Adagnister, Psychic End Punisher, stuff like that. And the last effect is, face up attack position special summon monsters on your opponent's side of the field cannot activate their effects. So this effect actually helps against Link decks that are based around Link summoning. Obviously not so much against Fusion, Synchro, or XYZ, because you can just summon those monsters in defense position and their effects can be used. We play 2 other high-level winged beast monsters that we can search out with Eagle. It's Apex Avian, which is basically a 1-spirit chain Omni Negate, and Raise of the Mega Monarch. I play 6 hand traps. That'd be 3 Shifter, 3 Ash Blossom. I think Ash Blossom is pretty mid on its own. With the exception of facing 2 decks like Branded and Labyrinth. It's not mid against those, but it definitely is mid against Sprite, Kashtira, etc. Unless your opponent has a bricky hand. Shifter is used just to deal with rogue decks that might want to use the graveyard, and also to be a preemptive measure against Droll Lockbird, which really hurts this deck. So that's it for the monster cards. We're gonna go over the spells. I play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. If you're on a budget, you can play Extravagance instead, but Prosperity is honestly superior because not only you dig further into the deck, now the +1 off of Extravagance is nice and all, but the top 2 cards that you draw from Extravagance might not be what helps your hand, whereas a 6th card that you excavate with Pot of Prosperity could be that Rabina or anything else that could make your hand live. But the other reason why Pot of Prosperity is superior to Extravagance is because Extravagance needs to be used at the beginning of your main phase 1. And of course the aforementioned 3 copies of Pod Duality. We don't special summon. You get it free excavation of 3 cards, and then you can add 1 to your hand. Next up, we play 3 copies of Floowandereeze and the Magnificent Map. It is one of the best cards in the deck. This helps you gain an additional normal summon on not only your turn, but also your opponent's turn. You can use the effect of Magnificent Map to reveal a level 4 or lower Floowandereeze monster in your hand, and then banish a Floowandereeze card from your deck with a different name, but then immediately after normal summon that. In addition, if your opponent normal summons a monster while Floowandereeze Map is on the field, get a normal summon on that very same turn. Next up is 3 copies of Advent of Adventure. This card is especially useful to help you dodge stuff like Impermanence, Veiler, Widow Anchor, stuff like that. What it does is it allows you to banish 1 face-up Winged Beast monster or 1 in your hand to add a Floowandereeze monster or Floowandereeze in the Magnificent Map from your deck to your hand. 1 copy of Floowandereeze in Unexplored Winds. This has 2 different effects. The first one being that you can reveal any number of Winged Beast monsters in your hand, put them on the bottom of the deck in any order, and then draw the same amount of cards. This effect can only be used once per turn, and it is an activated effect. It can be ogred and it can be ashed. Please be aware of that. The next effect is, if you would tribute summon a monster that requires 2 tributes, you can send 1 monster you control to the graveyard and 1 card your opponent controls instead of, fulfilling the 2 tributes that are normally necessary. And the interesting thing is you can send a spell and trap card on your opponent's side of the field and not just monsters. So you can send like their Massive Restrict to the graveyard. And this does not count as tributing, so it gets around that. Next up, I played 2 Board Breaker in 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More. I don't play 3 because I felt that 3 is a bit cloggy and you don't really want to see this going first. We are primarily a going first deck. This basically just shuts off all the opponent's monsters' effects, and then you can combo off into a field full of Omni Negates without having to worry. This is especially useful against Sprite, decent against Kashtira. Next up is 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, just so we don't auto lose against back row decks if we're going second. 1 copy of Terraforming, which searches out the map, which can help you combo off. 2 copies of Harpy's Feather Storm. I definitely love playing these at 2 because it's a win con against Sprite and Branded if you're going first. It sucks if you open it going second, but it's a risk you have to take like I mentioned before. This build is primarily a go first build that's optimized to also be able to fight back going second. 2 copies of Evenly Matched. Much like Feather Duster, this is primarily for back row decks or any deck that establishes a strong field presence. Dreaming Town is your main disruption of the deck. This has 2 different effects. The first effect being that during the main phase, either player's main phase, you can normal summon 1 level 4 lower Winged Beast monster from your hand. So basically you can use this on your opponent's turn to just chain summon and then summon out like a Apex Avian, a Mega Reza, or an Empen. An additional effect is, if this card is in the graveyard when a monster is tribute summoned, you can banish it from the graveyard and basically flip all face-up monsters on your opponent's side of the field face down. Really good disruption against Link, Synchro, and XYZ based decks. So that is it for the main deck. We're going to go over the side deck real quick. I side deck 1 copy of Simorgh, Lord of the Storm. This was actually an idea I got from Hanko Chow in a WCQ article. This tribute summon card cannot be targeted by spell or trap cards or their effect. It also has an additional effect where a spell card is activated, you can tribute a Winged Beast to basically return a card on the opponent's side of the field to the deck, but I don't think it really will come up that much. Primarily be useful against Sky Striker and Runic. Dark Simorgh is why I will typically siding going first against back row decks like Eldritch, Labyrinth, and Traptrix, and Altergeist. Both of these are searchable off of Eaglin, by the way. 3 copies of Jewel and Lockbird for annoying stuff like Math Mech, Dragon Link, and such. Anything that can establish a very strong board presence that you cannot get over typically. Moving on to spells, I side 1 Dark Ruler No More. Didn't want to put a 3rd in the main deck because of reasons, and I figured I had a flex spot, so I just put 3rd one in. Back row removal. 2 copies of the Cosmic Cyclone, 2 copies of Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm to clear away a bunch of back row. Cosmic Cyclone to chain to like annoying floodgates such as TC Boo, Goes and Match, Skill Drain, stuff of that nature. Also can hit Runic Fountain during the draw phase of your turn. They cannot use their quick play spells during your turn that happen to be in the hand. A very controversial thing I put in this side deck is 3 Book of Moon. It's controversial because you typically see it main, but I prefer to put the Dark Rulers in the main deck over the Book of Moons because it provides better board breaking capabilities. I also put Feather Storm over Book of Moons in the main deck because Feather Storm is overall a blowout card. Book of Moon, yes, it can basically disrupt the opponent's plays by flipping down an essential Synchro, Link, or XYZ material that might be used, but overall just shutting down the opponent's monster effects is more important to me with Feather Storm, so that's why I main it. I do like Book of Moon in that it can be used going first or second. And last but not least in the side deck, we go Super Grave, the Ancient Organism. I side this against Branded. Sometimes you can also side it going first against Kashtira, but it's not as useful because they can just XYZ a away. This is typically set against Branded and any other decks that rely on special summon level 6 or higher monsters. If they don't have back row removal, then they pretty much cannot play because they cannot get rid of this card. It shuts down their effects and makes it so they cannot attack. So you can just basically sit there with it on board while you collect resources to basically combo off and turn the game in your favor. That's it for the side deck. Next up will be the extra deck. The extra deck does not really matter. We have stuff in the extra deck that for situations that should not come up but can due to floodgates and other circumstances. So I play Access Code Talker, Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, Nightmare Unicorn, and Nightmare Phoenix. Nightmare Phoenix is especially useful to pop like the zombie world. Win the Wind Channeler Verdant. If your opponent has a Barone in their graveyard that's properly summoned and you're able to get this out, you can summon that Barone back and you have a pot plus a negate. IP Masquerade in case we ever have a situation which we want to leave it on the field, and then go to Nightmare Unicorn on our opponent's turn. Link Rebo. Next up we play Divine Arsenal Zeus, Doubter Magician, Lyrilisk, Assemble Nightingale, and Drychain Mu Beta Fafnir is mainly used if we side in Droll and Lockbirds and we get stopped by like TC. So we'll summon a bird, we'll summon the Droll, we'll XYZ summon into Beta Fafnir, we'll swing into something, we'll overlay into like Doubter Magician, and then we'll go into Zeus, and we have like 2 board wipes on Zeus. For Synchros, we have Herald of the Arclight and Golden Cloud Beast Milan. Herald of the Arclight is mainly there for stop by TC, and we get like a bird plus we have an Ash Bless in hand we don't really want to keep in hand, so we can just synchro summon into an Omni Negate. Cloud Beast Malong is in there in case the opponent wants to play like Maximus and make us send cards from our extra deck to the graveyard, so we get a free bounce. Also with Entis we get a free pop, and with Garura we get a free draw. So that is the deck profile. Like I said, I went 4-0 at the regional flight. I know it's not really all that impressive since, you know, it's just a 4-round tournament. And you could say that getting like a top 4 would be more impressive, but I wanted my invite out of the way, so I entered the regional flight and I managed to win it. That's why he's the GOAT! Overall, I am pleased with the deck's performance. The only side deck cards that really came up were the Dark Ruler No More and the Book of Moons. I drew into Causing Cyclone during my Earth Machine matchup, but it wasn't really necessary to use because I already had Feather Duster to clear off what they had on board, which is just a heavy forward, I believe. Overall, I'm very pleased with the way the deck performed, and yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to Screw the Rules Yu-Gi-Oh for allowing me to post my deck profile on his channel. If anyone has any questions about the tournament, please let me know in the comments, and I will answer them as best as I can. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys all on the flip side. Okay, thanks, bye.
Search.
People always talk about my come up, cause I've been going on every summer. Pussy wanna talk about numbers, but your manager buying swipe show, so bummy ain't no